Alright, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of The Carnal Conservative, and in these series of videos, we're going to be exploring the true nature of conservatism, because this needs to be addressed, because no one seems to know what a conservative is, or what a true conservative actually believes, because conservatives are no longer represented duly by their institutions in society. We have no power, we have no representation as conservatives. Despite what Conservative Inc. says, they are not true conservatives. They just aren't. So we need to go back to the drawing board and rediscover the root of conservatism. And as we do so, we need to go down to the very, very, very fundamental basics of reality and how conservatism interacts with that reality. And we're going to start with a quote by Robert Heinlein from Starship Troopers that says, "When you vote, you are exercising political authority, you're using force. And force, my friends, is violence, the supreme authority from which all other authorities are derived." And from that quote, a true conservative knows and accepts that force is violence, and it is the supreme authority from which all other authorities are derived. And that is the crux of the issue when defining who or what is true conservatism, because what we've been trained to think in our modern era is that the core root of all of our beliefs and behaviors are inherently rooted in principles. And that is a problem, in my view, because conservatives today, not being represented by any principles of any institutions, are not driven by the principles that are being projected by our institutions in society. We are instead governed by the forces of nature. We are governed by reality. And a true conservative refers back and gives honor and respect to those forces. And you will see this to be the case when you try to explain how the true conservatives in your life behave based on nigh instinctive beliefs. And you will also observe this to be true by how their reasoning is being subverted in the modern age by appeals to principle. The truth is, as human beings, we are subject to these forces. These forces are undeniable realities upon which our entire species across the globe must either honor or destroy themselves defying. As humans have worked with and around these forces, human beings have crafted institutions to represent these forces. And it is out of these institutions we craft that they will form principles to represent their ethos and function in society. In essence, ladies and gentlemen, a true conservative is only truly bound to honoring the forces of family and food. That's it. That is the essence of a true conservative. But we do need to explain in further detail how this hierarchy works. So, on forces, the supreme authority. Forces are neither principles, nor are they institutions. Forces are simply manifestations of reality. The two I am appealing to specifically are family and food. They are forces that every culture, every nation, and every tribe, throughout all of history and time memorial, must in some way form around. Every life form that does not reproduce or maintain a reliable method of sustaining its body goes extinct. Failure to obey and conform to these forces results in extinction. Moving on to what institutions are. From the forces that mankind has to interact with. We have developed institutions. Alongside the family, we have developed auxiliary institutions for the family, like religions, governments, militaries, and other social adhesives to maintain, serve, protect, and promote the family. Likewise, with food, we have over time developed institutions of agriculture, trade, manufacturing, commerce, and other economic infrastructure that primarily serves to feed and provide for the family. And the important and last part of this is on principles. It is the institutions that project the principles or standards that best serve their own particular function. These principles, whatever they might be, do not necessarily reflect or consider institutions birthed from other forces. Principles from institutions birthed from the family, or the forces of the family, could easily conflict and erode the principles of institutions birthed from food and economy and vice versa. As such, relying on any mere principle birthed from any institution as a standard for what qualifies as a quote-unquote true conservative or a believer in true conservatism is a fatally flawed approach. True conservatives are not bound to any of these principles that are projected by these institutions per se. True conservatives are only bound to conserving and honoring those things which give power and force to the forces of family and food, with respect to their individual nations and homes, by whatever means are reasonable to achieve stability. Now, I know that's a lot of word salad, but we have to understand that different cultures in different areas have different customs based on their environment. An area or economy or group of people whose primary source of food is going to be fishing is going to be radically different from those whose primary source of food is grain. They're going to have different cultural developments. They're going to have different traditions. That still makes them conservative so long as they honor the things that keep them alive in their area. But we do need to understand what it is a conservative is trying to achieve. And the first thing that a conservative needs to achieve in the society around them is stability. And stability is very simply defined as a state of assured survival. Secondly, and if possible, we also strive for what is called optimization, which is simply a fancier word for saying a state of improved or improving stability, with specific regard to family and food. That is what a true conservative is. And in these next videos that I'm going to be making, we're going to be covering the mysteries of conservatism, because modern perspectives and our modern institutions do have or stem from these different forces of family and food, and they do have conflicting principles. That's going to be a given. And it is required to examine some of these seeming contradictions and paradoxes that we observe when trying to determine what is actually conservative. I'll be keeping y'all updated on these mysteries. Mystery 1 will be posted up tomorrow, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Please give me your comments below. Give me your thoughts, your critiques, because this is what we really need to do when we drill down as to what is and is not a conservative, and when we observe conservatism being subverted, understand what it is we're actually dealing with. That's it, guys. Stay carnal, and God bless everyone. Goodbye.